Greetings, brothers and sisters. This is another Hollywood celebrities dropping like flies.
They're dropping like flies.
Listen, people are dropping like flies out there.
I am pissed off.
We're dropping like flies around here.
We're dropping like flies here.
Jeez, sir, 2 more just went down. Dropping like flies.
Too many people around here been dropping like flies already, and where's that getting us, huh? Nowhere. Fast.
Biden's being Biden's being an extremist.
Crush that fly.
I want to revisit some stuff to do with Hawaii. I talked about that extensively in my last video. Britney Spears is getting divorced, so I might as well cover that here. I usually cover that on my other channel, but, you know, in a surprise to no one. And then there's some other things I have to, revisit. A bunch of kind of weird stuff as always. First, I want to do a little bit of an introduction here about aliens and, alien invasion. Greetings, brothers and sisters. So there has been a lot of people asking me about aliens and extraterrestrial life. And this invasion, whether, some people think it's a hoax invasion, a Project Bluebeam invasion. And, other people think it's real. And I talked about this in another video on my other channel, older video, like 2 weeks old, how aliens could show up, or it could be a hoax, or it could be, some sort of CGI or something technology. And people would not believe it. Let's say it's legitimate aliens and legitimate spaceships. There'll be a certain percentage of people that won't believe it. And then some people who do believe it, some of them will think the aliens are here to save us. Others will think that they're here to kill us. And they'll be, wanting to nuke the spaceships, right? I mean, there's just all these different ways people interpret the event. And so my perspective is, and I covered this in some length in my book, The Choice. This was some of my own research that I did that ended up coinciding with the teachings in the Sajmark system. And so when my perspective is that we are a genetically manipulated race in one way or another. That we were, there was people here for hundreds of thousands, millions of years. Some of the evidence is you can find this guy, Michael Cremo, and other people. He wrote a book called Forbidden Archaeology. And that was archaeology that discovered, that showed that there are people here for millions of years. Like, for example, they were mining marble, which takes some, hundreds of thousands, millions of years to develop, the rock marble. And they found a human skeleton inside of one. And so that, wasn't a recent human skeleton. Apparently limestone turns into marble and takes millions of years. And so there's things like that. And there's other evidence, some of it that you'll be seeing now. I have a compilation, there's evidence of giants and evidence of extraterrestrial space people in Aboriginal cultures, cave paintings, paintings from hundreds of years ago, paintings from the recent past and the distant past, and all these references, star people, sky people, things like this, from various Aboriginal cultures. So there was, at some point, it appears that there was extraterrestrial life or more advanced human beings with space travel and things like this that were here on planet Earth. And were here for quite some time and at some point disappeared. And there's lots of evidence that they create a slave population that is what's left of humanity. And some of it is their genetics may be mixed with chimpanzee genetics or something like this. I've talked about this. Lloyd Pye and other geneticists have talked about the second and third chromosome being fused in human beings. So there's, evidence to support this idea. There's also evidence that they left certain people in charge with knowledge that the rest of the people didn't have. Maybe they were more evolved people. I don't know what they were. And that seems to have carried on, with these secret societies. And there seems to be knowledge presented in Freemason. For the Freemasons, some of these these other secret groups that talk about these things. And so there's that. And then there's other evidence that we're genetically manipulated people through having like some kind of things like Lloyd Pye talked about spina bifida, for example. That spina bifida is something that you have and you can't reproduce, and yet it keeps on coming back up in the human genome. People are born with this genetically. There's all these sort of genetic abnormalities and diseases and things that the disease itself makes you not have the ability to reproduce. And so all the people who have that, you would think it would leave their genetic line, right? And then there's things like little people and dwarves and giant people, giant 7-foot people, 8-foot people that seem to be almost like, a separate humanoid type of species, right? Like giant people are, if you see really big people, 8-foot people, you're like, how is that possible? And there's evidence that there are bigger people here before. So some of those things, and then there's the mentality. We have a very slave mentality. We have all the symptoms, psychological symptoms, self-esteem, a slave master type of orientation to the world. Like if you understand the psychological effects and social effects of slavery, we all have that, right? Either the dominant position, like an abusive relationship to each other and animal life and the planet itself. So there's lots of evidence to support all of what I'm saying. I can't prove it to you, but this is what I believe. And in Sahaj Marg, the meditation that I do, there were these whispers from the brighter world messages. And one of my viewers just pointed this out randomly, and it brought this to my attention. And it said, here, there are whispers messages about the cosmonauts, what we call aliens, coming again in many numbers to subdue humanity's aggression. I think this is century 2. This is in this century 2, because Babaji says in the coming century in 1999. And so what these whispers messages are, if you haven't heard me explain this before, there was a French woman who was a medium in a past life, famous Christian saint in a past life, and in numerous lives. And she developed, she fell off a horse when she was like a young person, and had what she called a butcher doctor, did surgery on her and left her in physical pain and debilitated for the rest of her life. She was more or less a shut-in. She had, money, her family had money, but she was living in an apartment and really couldn't go out much and do much in terms of her life. And she started doing the Sajmark practice, and eventually she intercommuned with Babaji, the second master of the system, who had passed away about 10 years earlier. And she was kind of freaked out about it first and didn't think it was happening and went through some sort of controversy, but eventually these messages were published in a series of books called Whispers of the Brighter World. And there's like 20,000 messages. There's more messages in this, these kind of channeled messages than in any other spiritual religious organization. And a lot of these things talk about the practice. Some of them are about her health. Some of those are kind of personal to her and her struggle. She always had doubts. She was a very, she didn't have a lot of confidence in what was going on. But for those of us who've read them, many of us, like there's 6 big books with messages from 1992 or 3, and there was not that many in the beginning. And then there was a lot of predictions and prophecies in 1999, 2000, 2001, and then other messages and current messages that were given in real time back in 2017. They had to translate them from French to English. She didn't really speak English all that well, so there's all these things that went on with it. But there's these prophecies, and they talk about human beings being from test tubes. I don't have that one, but I have the one that the person's referring to here, and what this viewer commented on, and this was a recently released message that was part of the prophecies. I just got to pull it up here and make it bigger. Here we go. Make it full screen. And I'm almost there. Here we go. Sunday, November 29th, 1998, 10:20 a.m. The hypothesis formulated by these authors is right. They were cosmonauts, not gods, who came in ancient times and manifested themselves to Abraham, then to Moses, to help the earthlings and make them advance. But progress happens slowly on Earth. Some extraterrestrial civilizations are developed to a point such as you cannot even imagine. 20,000 years ago or more, humans who saw these highly evolved beings could only think of them as gods. And so she must have been reading some book or some article about this and asked Babaji about it. In the coming century, they will return in great numbers to calm the fury of human beings of blowing up the planet with means they control so badly. And he's talked about how there's going to be nuclear war. There's going to be, he said, ATOM will ruin this world. There's a big event that's supposed to happen in 2025, 2026, like the December of 2025. And after that, there'll be all these other events. He's talked about the pole reversal and some of these other things. And so those things are going to start happening. And then he says there's going to be, and somewhere else he says there's going to be an invasion. In the coming century, they will turn in great numbers to calm the fury of human beings capable of blowing up the planet with means they control so badly. It will be necessary to calm things down and admit that a superior people will have to take the lead to restore over time peace on Earth. Then harmony will prevail among humans and foster their spiritual evolution. They will finally understand that religions were lures that they accepted. Religions were lures they accepted for want of anything better, as their evolution did not allow them to distinguish truth from falsehood. Everything in its time, great upheavals are necessary to make things move forward. There will be many tragedies. One will have to be strong to survive. But God will enlighten people of goodwill. The golden age will not come overnight. The golden age will not, here I lost the, so badly, here. The golden age will not come overnight. It is the law, and then it jumps to another page here. It is the law of evolution that deals rigorously on Earth as elsewhere. Don't worry, pursue your path as well as possible in the purity of heart. Such is the true wealth. What must be will be. Pray, unite yourselves in love and brotherhood. Meditate on this well. Babaji. So for most of you, you're not going to believe this, or you might be, well, this could be true, but you don't look at this Whispers of the Brighter Worlds as a authority, as a trusted authority, but for me it is. Just through experience and my own research and my own point of view that I've taken. I mean, my own, research that I've done, but also lifelong experience, and then experience with the Whispers messages themselves. And so for me, it is a trusted source. Everyone has their go-to sources, people they believe, YouTubers, whatever, people in their life who they see as either trustworthy or knowledgeable or both, or all these things. So I'm just throwing these things out there. I don't expect people to believe them. I don't care. It's not, it's just information I have that I thought I would share. There were a few more Whispers messages about extraterrestrials. There's one that they said that the pyramids were built by aliens, extraterrestrials. And then there was another one where they talked about test tube babies. Human beings came from test tubes. It was a very fleeting reference. So I couldn't find all of those, but I found a few others. I have these all saved, and I have to figure out this search terms to, when I saved them, I didn't come up with a system. And so I got to figure out the words I used, and sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. But here's one from Wednesday, January 19th, 2000. The origin of religions has already been alluded to. The truth has surprised you and will shock many of you. But it is a reality that no reasoning, not even time, will be able to change. Building on these first contacts with beings that came from elsewhere, a law and principle were given, a universal language which is still being used, and so will be until the end of time, remains as evidence. difficult to prove but real, of what was left by these higher beings. Humanity is still benefiting today from lessons that they were given at the time. Their descendants who rose up mark time with their discoveries, their ideas, and their ideas mark time with their discoveries, their ideas that made the world evolve. It is a concept difficult to admit, even by open-minded beings. But the evidence of these allegations will be given in the future. Men will be able to ascertain them, will remain astounded. You will not be there anymore to be edified, but our assertions are perhaps already enough for you. She died in 2018, the woman who channeled these messages. Your world would not be as it is today without the interventions of these extraterrestrials a long time ago. And there's another one which I couldn't find, which talked about there needing to be an invasion. And again, I can't remember the specifics behind that. And I have them somewhere, and I remember them, and so I don't really need to reread them. Tuesday, July 23rd, 2002, 10 a.m. It is true that contacts are established between certain leaders of influential countries and beings coming from elsewhere. We cannot give any further details for the moment. That is not our intention, and moreover, it would not be admitted by the majority of individuals. You will have to wait until this fact becomes obvious to the greatest number, and then this issue can be addressed in more detail. People's minds are slowly opening up to the idea of the extraterrestrials far more advanced than Earthmen. Come and give them instructions on actions to be taken in difficult situations. It is nothing new, as proved by secret files. It will be actually necessary one day for everything to take place in the open and for men to accept what they obviously and clearly hold in a lower position. And for men to accept what they obviously and clearly hold in a lower position. The moment has not come. Very important movements of force will have to be applied for this to happen. The realities does not change anything to that which concerns you personally. Working on yourself, as your evolution does not depend at all on these external aspects, Babaji. And so those are just a few of these messages. I'm getting tired, so I want to move on to the other part of the video here. Okay, my Britney Spears stuff is on a different browser, so we'll get to that. I don't know, about 10 items or so, which will probably take 15 minutes. For those of you who are waiting for me to tell you Britney Spears is getting divorced, which if you are, that's a sad existence, but it's all we got. Crazy is all we got. That's crazy, but crazy is all we've got. Okay, so this is President Biden POTUS, not my president. As residents of Hawaii mourn the loss of life and devastation taking place across their beautiful home, we mourn them today. And then he has point 1 is FEMA, and point 2, we are laser focused on getting aid to survivors, including critical needs assistance. This laser focused is, this is from August 14th. And as most of you understand, a lot of people believe there were direct energy weapons used. And, Biden's clueless, and he tweets a bunch. There's probably, this is his 50th, there's 50 or newer tweets, and this is only from August 14th, 3 days ago. So he's tweeting, 10, 15 times a day, depending on what's going on. So it's obviously not him. And so this is his staff tweeting. And they must be aware of the so-called conspiracy theories. They must know that there's this idea of direct energy weapons because they monitor what's going on. And lots of people are saying this. This is not something that's a secret. And so they know about it. And they're trolling those people. That's my only, why would he say laser focused? Right? I mean, maybe he said that before. I've never heard him use that phrase. It might be something he says. But, it seems like they're trolling all the people who believe that direct energy weapons were used to start the fires. This is what I was going to say. It wasn't Royce O'Neal. It was Royce White. Wrote, investigate media on the side of his head during a big game. It wasn't carved into his head through a haircut. It was just there. I'm editing, and it said investigate Maui and also direct energy weapon. So I failed to see those two things correctly. I guess he's playing in that 3-on-3 thing for Ice Cube. And so there's that. Hawaii governor says state plans to acquire land ravaged by fires. And I couldn't find that. That was just something that was, sent to me. But what I did find was Hawaii governor vows to block land grabs as fire-ravaged Maui rebuilds. As fire-ravaged Maui rebuilds. Hawaii's governor vowed to keep the land in local people's hands when Maui rebuilds from a deadly wildfire that incinerated a historical island community as local schools began reopening. Josh Green said Wednesday that he had instructed the state attorney general to work toward a moratorium on land transactions in Lahaina. He acknowledged the move will likely face legal challenges. My intention from the start to finish is to make sure that no one is victimized from a land grab. And so he's using the term land grab, and this is something that I said without knowing much about the situation. You guys who watched my last video, I think on this channel, I talked about what I went through in the Chennai flood and how there was a massive land grab after that catastrophe, and they evicted poor people living along the river. And now it's rich commercial real estate that's taken its place. And Chennai, I was in Chennai, India. And so lots of people think that this is going to be a land grab. And now the governor is saying that there's going to be a land grab and that he's doing his best to stop it, but there'll be legal challenges to him stopping it. And so, this is already really suspicious because, people are swooping in and trying to buy up valuable real estate from indigenous people after they suffered this tragedy. There's another video my wife sent me. I'm not going to show you. It's some local guy saying that the police were blocking people from leaving the area. There's a police barricade that was blocking people from being able to drive out of the area. Numerous people have talked about that there was a slow police response, a slow Coast Guard response, and people were let back into the fire, the area that was on fire, and people died because of that. And then there was issues with people being able to evacuate and leave the area, and many people had to wait in the ocean for like 8 hours. So there's all this suspicious stuff that looks like it's intentional. We're very close. Look at this. Is an interesting expression here. We're very close to the actual, it's just happened, and they're already talking about land grabs. And so then one of my viewers sent me this.
Perry County Memorial Hospital will no longer deliver babies beginning January 1st of next year.
It's got a very serious expression. Like this is just some local news.
Hospital leaders say this decision was made due to a declining rate of deliveries. They say the hospital delivered 70 babies last year and are on pace to deliver only 38 this year.
Kaboom. So they delivered 78 last year and only 38 this year. That's, well, again, they're saying they're on pace to do that. So would be about half. And so they're like, we're not even delivering that many babies anyway.
Pregnant patients will continue to receive prenatal obstetric care from local doctors, and the hospital advises there are 4 hospitals providing obstetric and delivery care within an hour's drive of Tell City.
I have something more somewhere here about the death rate declining or life expectancy rate declining. So people are dying younger. We see that, a lot of people dropping like flies, young people, athletes. We've covered that here so much. And there's less babies being born, which can be attributed to a variety of health effects. I mean, there's a lot going on here, which we all know about. Big Short investor Michael Burry appears to bet on U.S. market crash with $1.6 billion proposition against the S&P 500 and NASDAQ indexes. So this is the guy who was one of the first people to realize that the subprime mortgages were going to crash. Maybe he was the first person. He predicted their crash. He created what was to become a massive derivatives market betting against the subprime loans, and it was documented in the movie The Big Short. So he's been right before and made lots of money on it, and now he's saying that the stock market's going to crash. YouTube starts mass takedowns of videos promoting harmful or ineffective cancer cures. So that's happening. More censorship, medical censorship. Okay, so there was this woman, and she said that there was a not real person. Let's listen to her here. She's come out and given a statement which doesn't say much of anything, but I'll show you that in a second.
I'm telling you, I'm getting the off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give two but I am telling you right now, that back there is not real. And you can sit on this plane and you can die with them or not. I'm not going to.
Bye. The first time I didn't see the bye thing. So we all saw that, right? And this is her page. Her name is Tiffany Gomez. Gomas. And she looks to be an Instagram model. Here's my corner. There she is with some of her friends, in air quotes. You know, one of these women that posts a lot of pictures of herself and like she wants to be a model, one of these, you know, Instagram models. There's a picture of her dog, or maybe not, wearing a hat. No, there's her dog. So pictures of her dog and pictures of her, some of them, and, you know, doing that kind of thing. And so it says here, I apologize to take accountability for my actions, that they were uncalled for. My very worst moment was captured on video, although the memes have been amusing. The flip side has been cruel. I'm thankful for my friends and family for supporting me through this. This experience has been life-altering, and I hope to do good from it and promote positive mentality health, positive mental health. Stay tuned. What does that mean, positive mental health? So this is her thing here.
Hi, everyone. It's me.
Hi, Tiffany Gomez.
Tiffany Gomez, probably.
Oh, I pronounced it wrong. It's Gomez.
Better known as the crazy plane lady, which is completely warranted. As you know, I have been unwilling to speak on the viral video, but I do finally feel that it's time. First and foremost, I want to take full accountability for my actions. They were completely unacceptable. Distressed or not, I should have been in control of my emotions, and that was not the case. My use of profanity was completely unnecessary, and I want to apologize to everyone on that plane, especially those that had children aboard.
And also that synthetic alien MNFer that I accused of being a synthetic alien MNFer.
Can't imagine going through that and trying to explain to your kid what in the world just happened. We all have our bad moments, some far worse than others, and mine happened to be caught on camera for the whole world to see multiple times. Sorry, trying not to sound like Minnie Mouse. Well, it has been really comical for everyone, and I have highly enjoyed so many of the memes.
Wait, you watch the memes? Are you are you watching everything that's being said about you on the internet?
On the flip side, it is very invasive and unkind. And I don't know what I would do without the love and support of my friends and family. They are loyal to a fault, and I don't know what I did to deserve them. Sorry, y'all. I hope that I can use this experience and do a little bit of good in the world, and that is what I intend to do. I hope that you guys can accept my apology and I can begin to move on with my life.
Join me on my journey for promoting positive mental health and stand up against cyberbullying. Okay, so the issue here is, I don't know if she's using a filter, but she looks like not a real person. Which brings me to the one part I was hoping she would say, and she didn't. Was she said that MNFer back there isn't real. And so, what was he? What did you think he was? What made you go into hysterics? I mean, her voice was, she was hysterical, and she's apologizing for that. And, you know, I don't need an apology. I mean, I was happy to see it or hear it. It was enjoyable for so many of us. She doesn't need to apologize to me, but she would, you know, we would all like to hear more about what she was talking about. What happened? Why did you freak out? Why did you say an MNFer wasn't real? And, you know, why all of it? Like, just what was going on there? Like, this doesn't address any of it. And she herself looks synthetic in this video. So, yeah, I'll turn off the music here. We'll look at her. Like, she looks synthetic. She looks like maybe it's a filter, which would be why are you using a filter. But she's something not human about her. And so, like, that wasn't satisfying. You know, we want an explanation of why. Like, we don't care about apologies, the majority of us. What was going on? What happened? Why did you freak out? And that's, you know, maybe you can let us know what really happened there. Family, friends mourn 23-year-old police officer who died 2 weeks on the job. A police officer from New Jersey suddenly died this week during a routine workout, according to his family. He's in Gloucester County, Mansfield Township. I don't know if that's in Massachusetts or in England or something. I don't, you know. There's another one of his, died unexpectedly. You know, obviously this is most likely has to do with cardiac arrest. And I guess this is in New Jersey. And so, you know, more young people dropping like flies. Life expectancy continues to decline in U.S. as it rebounds in other countries. And so there's this statistic. I'm not sure where this came from. My wife sent it to me. I don't know where the actual study came from. But, you know, makes sense. Another day, another lie. President Joe Biden roasted for claiming he witnessed a bridge collapse, a Pittsburgh bridge collapse. You know, that's him. So one of my viewers sent me this.
Play a little game this morning. Can you guess what city I am? My federal workers are telling its employees not to come into work today because the conditions are too dangerous. It is too dangerous to leave their homes to come into work. I'll give you a hint. It is not a third world country. If you guessed San Francisco, you're on the money. If you live in San Francisco, you need to flee, like yesterday.
So I've covered San Francisco, which is both, there's a huge uptick in criminal behavior and businesses have closed down, and everything I'm hearing about the city, and we're hearing, is that it's a pit. They're also paying homeless people $600 a month. We heard from a homeless guy, right? So there's a lot of information out on the internet about what's happening in San Francisco, and now MSNBC started to cover it.
Nigel Kennedy used to see 12 clients a day in his barber chair. Then when the pandemic hit and the surrounding office towers emptied out, so did his place, and he began falling behind on his lease.
How far behind did you get in rent?
Over 2 years, $48,000.
And in the end, buried under back rent, he got the equivalent of a do-over. He was evicted, but now he's back under new terms.
Every month I do a monthly sales report, and then based off my sales report, they charge me a percentage of my rent.
San Francisco.
So that's what they've had to do.
Needs a do-over, with commercial vacancies above 31%, the highest in the nation. And
no, there's a local person who lived there did a video. It showed all these businesses, including like Chase Bank and, you know, perennial Whole Foods, which does well there. Whole Foods closed because of criminal activity, I think. Burger King, I mean, just, you know, things that survive in other places, right? And this was downtown Market Street, San Francisco, like Fifth Avenue is in New York. And so everything is going south there, right? They're most, you know, they're premier commercial property.
Fears that a doom loop could kill off the city's downtown. This is the $2.2 billion Salesforce Transit Center. It's supposed to be the major transit hub for anybody coming here from the East Bay by bus. But on a busy Friday, the only people we've seen in here are a couple of tourists. Wade Rose runs a group that represents some of the city's biggest tenants, companies like Google, Uber, and Gap, that paid sky-high rents during the boom. But then the pandemic arrived, and with it, working from home.
90% collapse in office utilization is just unprecedented in a major urban city in America.
Wow. And at that point, landlords here went into denial, Rose says.
There's a period where people pretty much were denying that something really fundamental and existential had happened.
San Francisco has reborn so many times. It's been counted out so many times.
Mark Babson took a 1970s office tower left empty during the 2008 recession and converted it into residential space. Could you do what you've done in this building at any one of those buildings downtown?
You could do it at a number of buildings. The elevators being in the right spot, you're going to get sometimes, not all the time. That's a bonus. You could probably work around it. But the floor plate is a big one.
Because offices make for long, narrow apartments, Babson had to get creative. The city, under Mayor London Breed, is doing what it can, offering small loans to small business owners and small payments to landlords to create pop-up restaurants and art galleries downtown.
We've done this in parts of our city in various neighborhoods, like the Bayview Hunters Point community. They had a almost 50% vacancy rate, and it's down to about 10%.
The days of being the hottest real estate market in the world may be over, but maybe that's a good thing. Rose says landlords are no longer clinging to the status quo and are preparing to more or less give away retail space to start the clock on what experts say will take 10 years to make downtown bustling enough to attract employers again. He points at Nigel's building, owned by...
Yeah, it's over there. Yeah, they're not even addressing the crime. This is from 5 hours ago. So it's relatively new.
Boston Properties is an example.
So they are now making their retail space, which is the bottom 2 floors of the building, is quite extensive, available to nonprofits, to artist groups.
Yeah, so they're trying to even just bring people back.
Of the last few years, so they don't want to sell. Right. So you have this incredible split between the top and the bottom of the place. At the same time, you also have city leaders starting to listen to the lessons of things like Katrina and lower Manhattan after 9/11, which learned that you basically have to give away the real estate for about 10 years in order to get artists and pop-ups and restaurants to come back, so that tourists come back, so that eventually an employee says, you know what, I want to work in downtown again. That is the stuff that's supposedly going to bring a city like San Francisco back, but it seems that we are just at the very beginning.
So then if you own commercial real estate in expensive downtown San Francisco, you won't be able to turn a profit for 10 years. You know, land grab, right? Land shark. And so you know, Gavin Newsom 2024.
What is probably a pretty long road here, Hallie.
Jake Ward, you know it well. You know the city well.
All right, there's that. Lifelike droids dazzle at Robert exhibit in China. Well, we got those coming on. Look at them go. What's she doing? She's mapping her face out. Look at the expressions they got. I mean, they're getting more and more. They're doing it. We're going to have some androids in the near future. This guy waving. I'm gonna move his mouth. Those really lifelike eyes he has. You know, let's get the robots. What are we waiting for? The robot takeover can't come soon enough. Let them figure out San Francisco and the rest of it. So then there's this weird cloud here. I mean, I don't know how you would explain this. This is Big John Colossal Cursor gets it, but the bending onlookers catch what looks like some kind of light source. I mean, there's the fact that it's bending like that, seems bizarre. Mystery after fit and healthy father Dave Orange from Brisbane suddenly drops dead, leaving behind his wife and children. Mystery as cricketer. He was a professional cricket player. Dave Orange, 38, dies suddenly, leaving behind wife and 7-month-old daughter. And so dies suddenly of natural causes. And so this is Australia and another athlete dropping like flies. And speaking of world-class athletes,
about being seen as the nicest guy in Hollywood is that no one searches my backyard for bodies.
So that's Chet Hanks' father, Tom Hanks. And he is kind of a creepy dude, and I've showed you things from him in the past. I've been covering him for a while. When I realized he was given the nice guy brand, and it didn't make sense because he doesn't seem to be a nice guy. And he was given the good guy brand, Will Smith and Ellen. All three of them have toppled ever since. I covered them in 2015. And about them like getting this nice guy, trustworthy moniker, and how they weren't those people. Of course, we didn't know what we know now, but some of you guys remember, I've been here for a while. That's, I don't know, what's that? It's 8 years ago. But anyways, Tom Hanks. Okay, we're 3 things away from Britney Spears, or 2 things away from Britney Spears. Alec Baldwin must have pulled the trigger in Rush shooting, new analysis shows. In October 2021, 65, Alec Baldwin, 65, is holding a prop Colt 45 revolver on the set of Rust when he shot her. And then he denied pulling the trigger. According to the firearms report obtained by People and compiled by experts for the state of New Mexico in its case against Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, although Baldwin repeatedly denies pulling the trigger, given the test findings and observations reported here, the trigger had to be pulled or depressed sufficiently to release the fully cocked or retracted hammer of the evidence revolver. And so Alex pulled the trigger. So here it is. Jamie Lynn Spears subtly reacts to Britney Spears' Sam Asghari's divorce news. She liked the post. Shortly after the estranged couple's breakup made headlines, the Zoe 101 alumna liked an Instagram post announcing the split. So Jamie Lynn Spears is all in favor of the divorce. Here's another one by Britney Spears splits with husband headed for divorce. It says here that Britney Spears and her husband Sam Asghari have separated after a nuclear argument that involves allegations of cheating. Sources with direct knowledge tell TMZ about a week ago Sam confronted Britney over rumors she stepped out on him. We do not know if the rumor has any basis, but we'll write it anyway because it's TMZ. Basis in fact, we're told Sam believed it, and the two had a huge fight. We all saw that stuff developing. Britney Spears is unbothered after Sam Asghari files for divorce. She's buying a horse soon, so she doesn't care, Buying a horse soon, so many options, it's kind of hard. A horse called Sophie, another called Roar. I can't make up my mind. And so that's what she's posting on her Instagram. There she is, right there. She's replacing her husband with a horse. 2 horses, Don't sell them short. But she is She just doesn't care. Britney Spears hires high-powered divorce lawyer to the stars amid Sam Asghari split. And Sam Asghari threatened to release extraordinarily embarrassing Britney Spears info if prenup is not renegotiated, source says. You think you can embarrass this? Boop! Right? Haven't you been watching? Haven't you watched her dance videos? What could you possibly release that would be embarrassing to her? You know? You're screwed, bro. Jamie Foxx finally starting to feel like myself as mystery illness, health scare, reasons not revealed. Jamie Foxx said he began starting to feel like himself again after suffering a mysterious medical complication in April that left him hospitalized for months. You're looking at a man who's thankful, he said on Instagram. So there it is there. You're looking at a man who feels thankful, finally starting to feel like myself. It's been an unexpected dark journey, but I can see the light. I'm thankful to everyone that reached out and sent well wishes and prayers. I have a lot of people to thank. You just don't know how much it meant. I'll be thanking all of you personally. And if you didn't know, God is good all day, every day. Swipe left. It says swipe left here. There he is there. There he is again. Okay, I'm not getting any kind of reward for swiping left because it looks like all the same pictures. Here's Jeremy Renner. Remember the guy who very recently tried to climb on the tracks of a snowplow and got run over. His face got crushed and he's going to be, physically messed up for the rest of his life. And after he did this stupid move, he said, when he was getting run over, he yelled, "Not today, MNFer." So there are these celebrities that are there giving him a check mark. So there's that. Meghan Markle steps out in a camel coat and cashmere shawl in 70-degree California weather. And it was worth about $10,000. Unseasonably worn-looking designer duds. So Meghan Markle's maybe losing a little bit. It says Meghan Markle wears anti-stress patch while Harry is away in Asia. So, she's not a very interesting person. Not that innocent. I don't know what this is. I guess that's the same article. Gwyneth Paltrow's shallow how body double was starving to death after film. Why eating disorders don't discriminate based on weight. So that happened. And then this, Kaylee Kuko has carpal tunnel syndrome for holding her baby, but she won't let it stop her from hitting the gym. And I missed my joke when, let's just do that over again. Britney Spears and Sam Asghari are getting divorced. I thought those crazy kids were going to make it. That's always my standard joke when I see a celebrity couple break up. Kaylee Kuko has carpal tunnel syndrome from holding her baby, but she won't let it stop her from hitting the gym. But she's going to stop lifting her baby up because she's got maids and nannies for that. Okay, so things just keep on getting weirder and weirder. I did a lot of voiceover for my video on my regular channel for tomorrow this morning. And so I was struggling. I had some work to do outside. Then we had a vicious thunderstorm here. And then all this weirdness in this video. And, alien stuff's coming up. And, bizarre reporting and all these things with planes and all of it. And just the breakdown and young people dying and just, weirder and weirder. Like each episode seems to get weirder than the last. And collectively it's, gone south. But there'll be more in a couple days. I'll come back and revisit this in 2 days. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely pointing for the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.